Hello and welcome to the week ahead from the Financial Times in London. Here's what we're watching this week. Tremors from the UK's Brexit vote continue. We look at how economies and business will react. Samsung is set to surprise the markets with its smartphone sales. A NATO summit will bolster defences against Russia, and the Chilcot inquiry on Britain's role in the Iraq invasion will finally be published. First, it's now been over a week since the UK voted to leave the EU, with markets and politics in turmoil. Investors and business will be focused on the bitter leadership battles in both the Conservative and Labour parties, as well as assessing the pressure from the EU on Britain to start the exit process. A survey of UK purchasing managers on Tuesday will give a flavour of business sentiment. And in the US, Federal Reserve Chair Janet Yellen won't just be looking at the jobless figures this Friday, but also the global fallout from Brexit, as economics writer Martin Sambu explains.
We've seen the immediate market fallout from the Brexit vote. What matters now is real economic activity also slowing down. And this week in the UK, we should see the first business surveys that finished after the vote. So it'll give us an indication of whether business managers are putting decisions on hold. There's important data coming out elsewhere in the world too. The US publishes non-farm payroll numbers on Friday. Those numbers were quite disappointing, softening earlier in the year. So Janet Yellen and her Fed colleagues will look very closely at those figures. And keeping the Brexit vote in mind, they may well start to think about interest rate cuts at some point this year. All economists think that the Brexit vote is bad both for the UK economy and for the world economy. As Christine Lagarde of the IMF has said, the question is, will it be pretty bad or very, very bad? That's what we're hoping to get more of this week.
And we'll be able to gauge more business reaction this week to the Brexit vote when budget airline EasyJet publishes traffic figures on Wednesday and is likely to warn that profits will be hit by consumer uncertainty, as well as the threat to its membership of the single European aviation market. And from the US, PepsiCo will report a decline in second quarter results as it struggles with a strong dollar, which Brexit has just made even stronger. Against this difficult backdrop, some better news is expected from smartphone maker Samsung, which is set to produce upbeat guidance for its second quarter earnings. Telecoms expert Dan Thomas has more.
Samsung is expected to broadly defy the slowing sales seen elsewhere in the global smartphone market, with some healthy sales for its latest device, which is the S7, which launched last year in a glitzy event in Spain. Analysts expect them to have sold up to 15 million in the second quarter alone, which is pretty good numbers for the Korean company. Unfortunately, they don't know how they're going to fare against Apple, which is launching its own flagship device in September, or was expected to launch in September at least. And against a backdrop of slowing sales more broadly, it could be a more dicey second half of the year for the company.
This week also sees in Warsaw one of the most important summits of NATO in years. It will focus on the threats posed to NATO by a belligerent Russia and will announce the stationing of 4 new NATO battle groups along the military alliance's eastern frontier. It will also discuss means to counter Islamic State and questions over NATO's expansion. French Foreign Minister Jean-Marc Ayrault told his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov last week that NATO still wanted dialogue with Russia.
J'ai redit à Sergei Lavrov notre approche en vue de cette rencontre, solidarité entre alliés, mais aussi transparence vis-à-vis de la Russie. Nous ne souhaitons pas que le sommet de Varsovie soit un sommet de la confrontation. Nous voulons, au contraire, le dialogue.
And finally, policymakers will be looking to the publication in the UK of a high-profile report on lessons to be learned from Britain's role in the 2003 Iraq invasion. The much-delayed inquiry, headed by Sir John Chilcot, set up in 2009 to try to end the dispute over UK involvement in Iraq, has run on much longer than anticipated, to the dismay of families of killed soldiers. Then Prime Minister Tony Blair is almost certain to be criticised for failing to disclose the extent to which he had already given commitments to former President George W. Bush to support the invasion. And that's what the week ahead looks like from the Financial Times in London. See you again next time.